When it comes to superstars turning either babyface or heel, it really depends on how you feel about these wrestlers when they turn either babyface or heel. Why am I bringing this to your attention? Some of you may be wondering. Well, in this video, I am going to be discussing something that I'm pretty sure many of you probably want to know about. Superstars that I prefer being in the role of a babyface or as a heel, or if I think they're good in both roles. I have put down a list of superstars on my 3DS, because I have nowhere else to put it. I can't put it on my phone, because I'm recording on my phone, of superstars that in my opinion, are better in certain role over the others. So I'll be telling you who I think are better suited in the role of a babyface, or I think are better suited in the role of a heel. And obviously you can disagree with me and tell me how wrong I am and all that bullshit, because we all know people don't like respecting people's opinions. Everyone just doesn't like hearing people liking something different to how people prefer everything to be. So we're going to be kicking things off with the babyfaces. First I'm going to be talking about is Kevin Owens. Initially, when he first turned babyface in 2019, I didn't really know how to think of Kevin when he first turned face for the very first time in his career. And a babyface Kevin Owens, when I first thought about it, my first thought was, there's no way he could be a good babyface, because my initial thought was that he was going to end up like The Miz, like someone who you just really can't like. But Kevin proved me wrong, and he's actually proven to be a much better babyface than as a heel. He's just too well respected now to really ever be hated, but even though he is still a good heel, I kind of prefer him more as a babyface. Next I'm going to be talking about is Charlotte Flair. Now this one's no surprise to any of you. If you guys have heard me speak about Charlotte before, I have always said I prefer her as a babyface over being a heel, and for some weird reason people prefer her being a heel. But I guess some of you might think I'm weird for preferring her as a babyface. But the reason why I prefer her as a babyface is because I think she just works better in the role. I just think she's just more natural in the role. I know Charlotte has gone on interviews and says that she prefers being a heel, but me personally, whenever she's a heel, Charlotte just tries... Obviously, she's naturally hated because of her last name, Flair, because of her last name, but if you ignore the fact that her last name is Flair, as a heel, when she cuts promos, she's not very good. Her wrestling style just doesn't work as a heel, because obviously when you're a heel, you gotta act more grittier and a bit more differently, and that's certainly something that our women's champion, Io Sky, kind of lacks in doing as a heel. Because the one thing I don't like about Io being a heel is that she doesn't wrestle like a heel. She still wrestles her traditional style, even though she is supposed to be a bad guy. I think Io should really change up her ring style just to suit the role that she's in. So me personally, whenever I see Charlotte work as a babyface, her promos are actually decently better. Her promos are actually pretty much a lot better, and her wrestling style actually fits it a lot better. So I think Charlotte, in my opinion, works better as a babyface. You guys don't have to agree with me, but I personally believe Charlotte Flair is better suited in the role of a babyface instead of a heel. Next one is going to be a bit controversial. I actually prefer Alexa Bliss as a babyface over being a heel. And I know some people are probably wondering, why would I say Alexa Bliss is better as a babyface than as a heel? Because I've always been craving for the goddess version of Alexa Bliss to come back. My favorite version of Alexa Bliss when she was a heel. Well, the reason why I prefer her as a babyface, I guess, is because I feel like she's at the stage of her career where the crowd can actually, appreciate her now. because during her babyface days as the goddess, she got, and Alexa was always cheered, even as a heel. So whenever you see her being cheered, because she was being cheered because she was a good heel, like, she wasn't one of those heels that got heel heat because, oh, she's so detestable, she was so hateable. She got cheered as a heel. So whenever I see a heel being cheered, I don't consider them heels. I'm always like, well, they're not really a heel. They're just they're a bad guy, but the crowd just don't want to hate them. So I felt Alexa Bliss could have benefited from a face turn. Sure, her last babyface run wasn't very memorable, if people remember her NXT run, but when she initially turned babyface as the goddess, I liked it. Obviously, I didn't like the whole Dark Alexa stuff that she did with Bray. Even look, I know he's not alive anymore, but I still was never a fan of it. I know she liked it, but that doesn't mean I have to. But when she turned back babyface when she came back in 2022, I was willing to give it more of a chance, and personally, I think Alexa just feels more suitable in the babyface role now than as a heel. She's kind of like Kevin Owens in a way. Like, you see them as a heel for so long, and when you see them turn babyface, you just think they would never work in that role, but then they end up proving you wrong. That's kind of like what Alexa Bliss to me. She's a lot like Kevin Owens in that regard. Next is Carmella. I prefer Carmella as a babyface because I just don't really like her as a heel. Not because she's bad or anything, I just don't like how they portray Carmella as a heel. Especially in 2017 during her SmackDown Women's title run, she had James Ellsworth by her side. And then her initial face run when she had that silly mask on her face. It was just something I never liked. And I get why Carmella was doing it, to garner heel heat. And yes, it got her heel heat. It did work. I know a lot of people say, well, it got her heel heat, so it did its job. Yeah, true, but I more looked at it as pure annoyance than anything. Some people could have found it, sure, it could have been just pure annoyance, but most of the time, I kind of just prefer Carmella as a babyface. She's just more... She's a lot more tolerable as a babyface. I just think her promos, it reminds me of Charlotte. Whenever she cuts a promo as a heel, she sounds way too over the top, way too cringy. She's trying way too hard to get the reaction she needs. But when she's a babyface, she just sounds a bit more natural. You see, if you're gonna make someone a heel, at least try to teach them how to sound like a heel, instead of trying to make them, sound really robotic and forced. So I kind of prefer Carmella as a babyface in that retrospect. Another person I prefer as a babyface over being a heel, even though I think this person works well in both roles, that being Cora Jade. Now, if you saw my recent video about Cora Jade, be sure to check that out if you haven't checked that out. In my recent video, when I talked about Cora Jade, I said that she could have easily been the most over babyface, an underdog babyface, that could have really been the next Sami Zayn. I considered her the next Sami Zayn, where she could have been a great underdog babyface, but they ultimately turned her heel because they never wanted her to be the champion. I personally feel Cora Jade would definitely fits better as a heel, fits better as a babyface, even though she herself has said this was the first time she ever worked as a babyface in interviews. Though she's a good heel and she gets the heel reactions needed, I just think she'd be better off being in the position that I know she can thrive in, and that's being an underdog babyface. But let's talk about another underdog babyface that I'm starting to prefer more as a babyface than her heel run, and that is Zelina Vega. Though I think Zelina is great in both roles, like Cora Jade, I kind of like Zelina Vega as a babyface. I kind of like her in the role of a babyface. She did get great ovations from the crowd. Obviously, that's kind of toned it down due to the fact that, well, WWE didn't capitalize on the popularity of the LWO when they were actually, getting over, when they were actually getting good reactions and getting over, instead of capitalizing on the massive popularity they were gaining. Instead, they were dropping them down the card, they weren't using them, they were having them lose match after match after match, and they weren't really doing much of anything. Though I think Santos Escobar is a natural heel, and I think he'll eventually probably turn heel, I just think Zelina Vega, in my opinion, would be better, is a definitely good babyface. Though I do think she's a great heel, though I think she is a great heel in her own right, I just kind of prefer Zelina more as a face. And the next one we're going to talk about is Cody Rhodes. Now, obviously, Cody Rhodes is obviously a very, very, very good heel during his early days. In his very, very early days, before he came back as the American Nightmare, he was a very good heel with his dashing character, the broken nose gimmick, and then even post the broken nose gimmick. But even so, even as the American Nightmare, I just think he's a great babyface. He's super over with the crowds. He's still very super over. Even after being in this whole Judgment Day feud for so long, Cody is just naturally super over. Do I think Cody could turn heel again one day? Maybe. But I think right now he's being positioned as the next face of the company, so I don't think he will really turn heel in any aspect, considering that he's being positioned as the next babyface of the entire company. Though I do think Cody can be a good heel, but I think because I think he's being in this position of being the next top babyface, I just think he won't turn heel. Though AEW tried to turn him heel, though he didn't want to, but hey, that's different. Next one is another bit of an unpopular one to some. This one is Seth Rollins. I know some people may think Seth Rollins is a better heel than babyface, which, funny thing is, a lot of wrestling fans say that a lot about wrestlers. So they'll always say a wrestler is better as a heel than as a hero. I've always heard so many wrestling fans say they prefer the wrestler as a villain than as a hero. Though I think some wrestlers can do well in the villainous role, which I will get to my villains who I think play the better villain than hero. And I know one of them will be ringing, and I know one of them will definitely be controversial. But anyway, I just think Seth Rollins is a better babyface. But he is good at both. Though he is good at both roles, I just think he's very naturally liked. And I just think his whole style is more babyfacey than more heelish. One thing I've never liked whenever wrestlers turn heel, they always still do their flippy over-the-top rope stuff, even as heels, like I mentioned with EO. You still see them doing their little gymnastic stuff, even as heels. I just think, why even bother doing that? I just think, why bother having them do that if they're going to be heels? Like, if you're going to be a heel, I think it's better if you just, not do that, because you're supposed to make the fans dislike you. So, yeah, that's pretty much my list. The wrestlers I prefer as a babyface are Kevin Owens, Charlotte Flair, Carmella, Alexa Bliss, Cora Jade, Cody Rhodes, Zelina Vega, and Seth Rollins. Now we're going to be going on to my heels, and I'm going to have an honorable mention here real quick. That being Raquel Rodriguez. I do not like Raquel as a babyface. I just think she's just naturally better in the role of a heel. She just doesn't sound like someone that the crowd really want to cheer for. She hasn't really been super over since her babyface run. I just think the company needs to I think WWE just needs to just turn her heel. I just think they just need to turn her heel. I just think she's a naturally gifted. I think she's just better suited as the role of a heel instead of a likable babyface. Because, I've got muscles, cheer me. I've got muscles, cheer me. It just doesn't work for me. Anyway, next up we've got heels now, and my personal favorite wrestlers in the heel role instead of a babyface role. And I know a couple of them are probably going to be controversial to some people. first up is Grayson Waller. Now, this one is obviously not controversial. This one is obviously very well given, considering that he is obviously naturally gifted in the role of a heel. Grayson Waller was a babyface briefly when he first walked in, but he just naturally fits so much better in the role of a heel. Many people compare to him as The Miz. A lot of people compare to him as The Miz. Like, a lot of people say he's the next Miz. Though I think he's a million times better than The Miz as an in-ring wrestler and as an entertainer who garners heel heat. But Grayson Waller is a great heel, especially what he did to Johnny Gargano, and of course the fans hated him not for the wrong reasons as a heel in that initial time period. And I find it really damn annoying now, that ever since he's made it to the main roster, I find it more annoying now that people that used to dislike Grayson Waller as a heel because of what he did to Johnny in NXT have now all jumped on the bandwagon and now saying Grayson Waller is a great heel. He's so good at his role. Yeah, well, I've been saying that from his days in NXT, but all I ever got was, oh, he should die, or he got death threats and all this. He sucks because of what he did to Johnny. Some people may say, well, Johnny Gargano is back now. That could be why they've toned down their hatred towards him. I mean, even if Johnny Gargano came back or not, the fans shouldn't have, given him the death threats and all the undeserved hate that he deserved in the first place. Yes, it was great heel heat for him, but overall, I more looked at that heel heat as, not as legitimate heel heat, as they say, go away heat. I looked at it as Grayson Waller was getting go away heat, instead of legitimate heat that the crowd legitimately hate him. It was more, go away, we don't want to see you. But now it's completely different. Next on the list is Dirty Dominic Mysterio. I'm not going to call him Dirty Dom because, just adding the word dirty to his name is just so stupid. They barely even call him that on WWE TV. They still call him Dominic Mysterio. So I don't even know why they added that stupid nickname to him anyway. Anyway, obviously Dominic Mysterio is a better heel because obviously he gets a lot of heel heat. Some of it may be considered piped in because of how loud it gets from time to time. But, some people are now starting to become... Fans are starting to now become more convinced that the heel heat is now not really that loud and it's just piped in loud noise. But regardless of that, he's just way better as a heel. As a babyface, he was just a bland, smiley Mysterio. But as a heel, he's just naturally better in the role. There's really nothing I could really say. There are a lot of fans are bored of him now because the Judgment Day is over-pushed, even though the fans were begging WWE to push them in 2022 when they weren't being booked incredibly strongly. Bron Breakker I prefer as a heel over as a babyface because I just think Bron Breakker just suits more as a badass. Just like his family. Scott Steiner and Rick Steiner were better suited in the role of heels. Even though I never really watched them growing up, I just think the whole Steiner family were just way better in the role of heels. Though Braun is a decent babyface, the reason why they turned him heel, and I find it hilarious to why they turned him heel because the crowd turned on him. They turned him heel because the crowd turned on him and they started seeing through that he was being shoved down the fans' throats, which I find so poetically funny that they turned him heel all because the crowd turned on him. But yet Roxanne Perez is getting the same treatment, but they're still pushing her as a babyface. I mean, you guys didn't waste time turning Bron Breakker heel when the crowd started turning on him. Why won't you turn Roxanne heel now that she's being turned on by the crowd? But of course, Roxanne's just too likable to be hated. But yet she was being booed on NXT. So was Liv Morgan, but yet she got booed. Another person I prefer as a heel is Asuka. I don't know what it is, I just think Asuka just suits better as a heel than as a babyface. They could have done so much better with her new character as a heel, but of course WWE ruins everything. Instead of making her feel more like a legitimate badass as a heel, they just decided to, well, hey, you know, we started you off strong, but now you'll take a loss to Super Bianca and my goddamn cat. Thanks, Kat. Thank you so much for ruining everything. Where was I? Oh yeah, Asuka. Yeah, I think she's better. I think the WWE could have done so much better with her as a heel in her first initial run as a heel and her second run as a heel when they had her come back with different face paint on her face. It just feels like WWE just book her a lot better as a babyface than as a heel. But for those fans who have said that Asuka has been completely ruined, well, with the amount of accomplishments that the woman has achieved in WWE, like Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble, and multiple women's championship reigns, that kind of tells you that the company haven't really flopped with her at all. They have consistently pushed her, and she's one of the biggest stars, you know, in WWE. So it just really tells you how fans really consider that one loss that she got to Charlotte Flair as the end of her career, but yet she went on to do bigger. But yet she went on to become a Grand Slam Grand Slam champion. DS, can you please stay sitting up vertically, please? Because I need to read. Okay, so next up is going to be a controversial one. I prefer Sami Zayn as a heel. Now, a lot of you may know I've always preferred Sami as a heel over than as a babyface. Though this babyface run seems to be going well for Sami Zayn, I just don't know what it is as Sami Zayn as a babyface. They're trying to make him that underdog babyface like they did in NXT, but I just don't think it just doesn't work for him anymore. I just don't think it works for him anymore. Sure, it may work in some people's eyes, but I don't know. I just think they could try something different with Sami Zayn as a babyface. Sure, keep on fighting and never giving up is a good moniker for what they gave to him on Raw, but ultimately, I just don't know how you can really consider Sami Zayn an underdog anymore when he's basically been around for a very long time. So I don't know how they will consider him an underdog anymore, but in my opinion, I liked Sami as a heel. I just think he did a lot better as a heel. He obviously, you know, went on to be an Intercontinental Champion 3 times. He was a very entertaining heel, and his whole storyline with the Bloodline eventually turned him babyface. Though I miss heel Sami Zayn, I do think they may eventually go back to it, but considering that Triple H is now fully in charge, and we know Vince McMahon was the one that turned him heel instead of Triple H, we kind of know where Triple H would kind of prefer Sami Zayn in the pecking order. So next up, I'm going to say Bianca Belair. I prefer her as a heel for obvious reasons. I just cannot stand her babyface character. I just don't like it. And no, don't you dare throw the color of races in all of this. It has nothing to do with anything. I just do not like Bianca as a babyface. At the start, I was okay with it. Because I thought it was fine when it first started. But then as it went on and on and on and on and on, she had a long title reign, she got this, the whole Becky Lynch thing, and then she went on to be champion for 400 plus days. It just got pretty nauseating pretty quick. It got nauseating pretty quickly, and Bianca Belair's whole spiel was she overcomes everything. Like she's like the female John Cena, like she's the female John Cena, making kids happy and, you know, overcoming handicap situations and all that other stuff. I've just never been a fan of that. I've just never been a fan of that kind of babyface. Even though John Cena did it, I just don't really like it. I just think it's a bit of over repetitive from time to time. It just gets very repetitive from time to time. I think the WWE needs to turn Bianca heel, and even if the crowd cheer her as a heel, I just think making her a heel is the right decision to go. We're gonna change the music here because we're just gonna change the music here real quick before we continue on. And of course, we're gonna get a stupid ad. Give me a second. stupid thing. I hate when that happens. Anyway, so next up we're going to be talking about the next set of heels, and this is kind of where people are probably going to either sling my neck, or some people may agree or disagree. I'm pretty sure that most people are going to be saying, ew, he prefers them as a heel, yuck. Well, first off, I'm talking about Finn Balor. Honestly, I like Finn Balor as a heel a lot more now as a babyface. Not because I hated his babyface run, I liked Finn as a babyface as well. I think he can do well in both. But here's the but my main problem with people wanting Finn Balor as a babyface. Well, maybe not everyone, but there are some people out there that do want him babyface. Look at what Finn Balor was as a babyface on the main roster. He was, as the internet called him, Smiley Finn. That's what Finn Balor was on the main roster as a babyface. Just a guy who did nothing but smile. And when I hear people say they want him back babyface, I'm just like, what? So you want that Finn back? You want Smiley Finn? You want Smiley Finn back who does nothing but smile? Balor Club? Smiley Finn, that's what you want to see back? Nah. So when I hear some people say they want to see Finn Balor as a babyface back, I'm just thinking to myself, so you want to see Smiley Finn back? Sure, I didn't really see much of Finn Balor as a babyface in his initial NXT run, but all I'm saying is that when we saw him as a babyface on the main roster, all he ever did was smile. He was just a smiley good guy who did nothing but smile. And to see him go heel and finally be a bit more serious makes me take Finn a bit more seriously, because I just never liked the whole Smiley Finn babyface character. I'd be okay with him turning babyface if they make him more of a serious babyface. Maybe if they make him more of a serious babyface, then maybe I'd be okay with it. But I don't know. I just kind of think he's just so much better off as a heel, and I like it a lot more. Next up is Bayley. Obviously, I prefer her as a heel. People, if you've watched my videos long enough, you've obviously known I like her more as a heel. So, if you've watched my videos long enough, you know I always hated the babyface Bayley. Like, never liked the character and everything about it. Like she was a good wrestler, but I just never liked anything about the babyface Bayley. And when she turned heel, I was finally more invested in Bayley's heel run. Do I think... Now, I know a lot of people want to ask me this question, so I'll answer it here real quick. Could WWE theoretically maybe turn Bayley back babyface one day? Maybe. It kind of feels like with this whole story with Damage Control, maybe that could be the direction they're going. I've heard some people think that Io could eventually turn on Bayley, and therefore Bayley will probably turn babyface. It's hard to tell what they're gonna do with that whole storyline, but if there was ever a time to turn Bayley babyface, that could really be it there. The whole, maybe Io and Dakota they've had enough of Bayley, but even then, even if the Dakota and Io did turn on Bayley, would the fans even want to cheer Bayley nowadays? Like, Bayley is she's so naturally good as a heel, could the fans realistically ever cheer her again? Well, I felt that way for Sami Zayn. I felt, well, Sami's been a heel for so long, I highly doubt fans would ever cheer him again, and I guess I was proven wrong in that aspect. But overall, I just prefer Bayley as a heel. Now, as what I said with Finn Balor, I'd only be okay with Bayley turning babyface again as long as she remains the character she has, the role model. I don't want her turning babyface and reverting back to the flailing Bayley buddies, the silly jackets, the ponytail, and the hugger stuff. I don't want her reverting back to that character. I don't want her reverting back to that. Like what I just said with Sami Zayn. I don't like seeing characters who go from being a heel, then they go back babyface, and then they revert back to what they were previously doing, and that's why I just do not like seeing characters change. They just revert back to something they were doing previously, instead of, trying to come up with something more creative and new. So, I'm only okay with Bayley turning babyface if she still remains the role model. But I highly doubt it. If they turn her babyface, they're going to bring back the old music, and they're going to have her put her hair back up again, and they're going to completely revert her back to the way she was before, because we all know that version of Bayley was a Triple H creation. The Hugger Bayley was Triple H's Bayley. The role model Bayley is Vince's Bayley. Next person, very obvious, you could tell the difference between the booking of Vince and Triple H here. The next person I prefer as a heel than as a babyface is Shotzi. Now, I know some people may be stunned to hear me say this, because everyone knows I'm not the biggest fan of Shotzi. But here's the thing. The internet give Shotzi a lot of shit. Well, they give WWE a lot of shit for her heel run. And they say, the heel run never should have happened, it was stupid, turning her heel was so stupid, it should never have happened. In my personal opinion, here's the thing. I see Shotzi's heel run completely differently to everybody else. I saw her heel run as something that got her on TV. It got her TV time, it got her matches. Even if she lost it, even if you want to say, but she lost all of them, except one match with Aaliyah. She won a match with Aaliyah, but of course anyone can beat Aaliyah. But even if you want to argue and say, but she was always losing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. She was getting TV time as a heel. All that matters is if you get TV time. That's all that matters. If you're on TV, then you can tell you can tell that it worked. So to me, I just think Shotzi just fit better as a heel. Sure, she never got the heel reactions. That was mainly because they never gave her any kind of storyline to really give her the heel heat necessary. Though the fans booed when she turned on Sasha Banks, but it's Sasha Banks. Of course people are going to boo. It's Sasha Banks. Of course people are going to boo. It's Sasha Banks. But all I'm saying is, I just think she was I just felt she felt more comfortable in the role as a heel. Though I think I heard her say that this was the first time she was not doing it. This was the first time she was doing something completely different, and she was willing to give it a go. And this is what I'm saying. Some wrestlers like being challenged to try something new, but I don't know. I just think Shotzi is just better as a heel, and I think her promos just act. I think her voice and how she speaks is way more heelish than as a babyface. But I guess if you can position her in a way that makes her really likable, then I guess a babyface version of her could work. But I just think she works better as a heel, like a crazy like a crazy psychopath kind of character. That's kind of how I think she would fit as a heel, like just a out of control mad girl. That's just how I think Shotzi would work as a heel for me. And the final person on this list I'm going to be talking about, and I know I'm going to have my head completely taken off for this one, I prefer the man, Becky Lynch, as a heel. And I know a lot of people are going to be probably getting ready to hit that dislike button and smashing their keyboards and say, Becky Lynch sucked as a heel. She was so terrible as a heel. I hated the Big Time Bex character. How in the world do you prefer this over the man? The man is so 2019. And I'm telling you now, I know Becky Lynch is still incredibly popular, but I hate to tell you guys, I don't feel the man anymore. I don't feel the man anymore. Sure, I still like her, but ultimately the man is so outdated. The man character is so outdated. It's so 2019. It was super popular in 2018 through 2019, but I like seeing wrestlers come back and revamp their characters, come back completely new and revamp themselves. Sure, Sasha Banks was one of the only wrestlers to never come back and get repackaged or come up with new characters. Obviously, she had to come up with the Mercedes Moné, the CEO thing, now that she's on the independent market, but that's completely different. Like, she never invented the Mercedes Moné character in WWE. She invented that outside of WWE, so that's completely different. But all I'm saying is I like seeing wrestlers revamping their characters and trying new things. And you know what's the funny thing about all the people on the internet that say they hated the Big Time Bex character? Oh, Big Time Bex sucks, Becky as a heel never worked, the crowd still liked her. Though the crowd did boo her a couple times when she was against Bianca Belair and Liv, but here's the thing, Becky Lynch herself has said on interviews she loved the Big Time Bex character, and she said she enjoyed being a heel. And it's so funny when you hear the fans say how they feel, and then you hear the wrestlers say, "Oh no, I actually enjoyed it. I think it was really good, and I loved being in that role." And it's just like what I said with Alexa Bliss. I didn't like her dark Alexa character that she had with Bray, but she has said many times she enjoyed the character. Sure, great. If she liked it, that's great, but that doesn't mean I'm going to like it. And I guess you can say then you guys will say, well, it's the same thing with us. Like, Becky can say she liked the Big Time Bex character, but we didn't. That's fair enough. But people were wording Becky's heel run as unnecessary, dumb, it should never have happened. People were saying Becky is not a likable heel, she's not a hateable heel. Like people were saying that Becky should have never been a heel, but yet Becky has said she enjoyed being a heel, and she enjoyed the Big Time Bex character. So the fact that Becky liked the whole thing clearly tells you she enjoyed it, but WWE wanted to revert her back to the ever so bland, boring, outdated The Man character, when they could have realistically maybe came up with a new babyface character for her. But honestly, I prefer Becky as a heel. I think Becky was way more natural as a heel than as a babyface. Though I didn't hate her run as a babyface, I just got really bored of her as a babyface for so long, and her promos come off very heelish. Some of the things she says in her promos just sound way too damn heelish anyway, but at the same time, Becky was a babyface for so long, I just wanted to see her as a heel, and I just preferred her so much better as a heel than as a babyface. Because you know what's funny? She lost more! She put over more people during her Big Time Bex era. She put more people over during her Big Time Bex era. During the Man era, she's like this impenetrable person that can't be beat. That's another thing that I never liked about Becky as a babyface. They just overbook her and they make her so supernatural. They make her way too supernatural. And that's kind of why some babyface characters to me overstay their welcome because of how they're booked. So in my personal opinion, Becky Lynch is better as a heel when she played Big Time Bex than she did as the Man, in my opinion. So thank you all so much for watching this video. My god, this is incredibly long, nearly a 40-minute video. Jesus Christ, this video went on for a very long time. I apologize. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you guys stayed through it all, hit the like button. Thank you very much. And I'll see you all next time.